Tell us a little bit about your system, that what are like the top 4 things that you sit down and address with someone when you begin an engagement with an entrepreneur, a business owner that's wanting to get their act together?
Well, it's actually led by the entrepreneurs, not led by me. Now, I know pretty much that any issue that's a business owner is going to come up with falls into 5 broad categories. And the 4 broad categories is, what is my business about, which is values and mission. The second is having enough revenue coming into the door, which broadly I put under the theme of recurring revenue. The third is becoming operationally irrelevant in your business, which is where you have to learn how to delegate. And that's actually probably the most important thing you can do. The fourth is to systematize your business. And we've been talking about that pretty much right up in that, but that's all strategic stuff. Then finally is, are you filling the 4 buckets of profit, which is lifestyle, having an emergency fund, having a fully funded growth program, and a fully funded retirement program. Now, the way we figure out where we're going to go is we have this process we call the alignment conversation. And the alignment conversation is very simple. Where are you today? Where do you want to be tomorrow or some point in the future? What's the gap between those two? What would the value be for you if you were able to fill that gap? And that's a really important question to answer, because you know if the value is high enough to work on it or not. And then finally is, gee, do you want some help with this? So from that, I basically get an idea of what's important to you, because the truth is you're the expert about what you want in your life. My job is to help you understand what you want and then develop strategies that get that. And those strategies in creating what I call a sale-ready business will generally fall under one of those 5 things, and usually all those 5 things, but we have to go in the right order at it. Now, my buddy Mike Michalowicz just wrote this great new book called Fix This Next. And he sort of combines this thing with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which he rejiggered around that, to helping you figure out what's the next thing you want to focus on. And Mike is, in this book, talks about a thing called the theory of constraints. And I call the theory of constraints whack-a-mole for business. Because what you do is you look for a bottleneck to occur, you fix the bottleneck, and you move on to the next one. So Mike's little thing with his little graphic with his hierarchy of needs helps you figure out what that bottleneck is you need to go after next. Now, in your business, you use a methodology called Scrum, which is project management, which is how can we increase the velocity of doing similar projects all the time, because you do the same sort of project for your clients over and over and over again. And by systematizing what you're doing and going back and doing a retrospective of what worked and what didn't work, you're going to increase the speed of what you're doing so dramatically that it gives people who do Scrum well an unfair advantage. For example, I love, this is one of my favorite things. I get a contractor on the phone with me, from the construction business.
Yeah.
And one of my first questions would be, I said, what would it be worth to you if I could increase your profit and your productivity by 30% in 6 months? And they go, well, you can't do that. I said, well, no, that wasn't my question. My question was, what would it be worth to you if you could do it?
Right.
And then you do that, and then they explain how Scrum works. And I said, you know something? That will give you an unfair advantage because it's used by every software development company now, but it's used by no construction companies. And it's the same methodology that they have that you need, which is project management. And if you get good at that, which is what? Systematizing your business, you are going to have an unfair advantage over your competitors. And if you ever want to leave your business, sell what you're doing, you've now given another construction company a good reason to buy you because they don't know how to do that. And it's worth a lot to them to learn it.
Hey, Thanks for watching these golden nuggets. And as a reward, I got another big fat golden nugget just for you. I wrote this book for you to help you get your act together online so you can grow your business better. You're searching, you want to learn. This is a great book. Grab the book, grow your business.
Amazing, right?